we see a girl named Vasilisa at the beginning of the movie. Her whole family is involved in an accident, which makes her extremely worried. Because she had nightmares about this incident, which made her very scared. During Vasilisa's difficult time, her friend Rose accompanied her. Even now, when Vasilisa is scared, Rose has come to reassure her. When she learned that Vasilisa had not had dinner, she offered her blood to Vasilisa. Now it is revealed to us that they are both vampires. Then Rose sees mysterious people through her window. They may come to kidnap or attack them. Because Vasilisa belongs to a royal family and she is the last member of her family. So a lot of people want to kill her. Now Rose wants to take Vasilisa safely. But on the way, these people attack Rose and Vasilisa. And Rose fights them. Meanwhile, another man arrives. He knocks Vasilisa and Rose unconscious, and gets them into the car, and takes them away. In this scene, we notice that there are different types of vampires as well. Where the vampires of peace come first. They are called Morwa. In the second, Damper arrives. They are a combination of a human and a vampire. These vampires work to protect the peaceful vampires, Morwa. They are called the Guardian Vampires. We will now call them Guardians. Here we see that Rose, Vasilisa's friend, is a Guardian Vampire. That is why Vasilisa was brought from here to a safe and distant place. Their kidnapper was also a Guardian Vampire. His name is Dimitri. He's here comes to take them to a vampire academy. Vasilisa can safely live there, but on the way, a third type of vampire attacks them. And they are vampires evil and only have to spread destruction. The Guardians with Dimitri fight the evil vampires and defeat them. In this way, they reached Vasilisa at the academy safely. Vampire Academy is a unique world where no principals or worlds work here. And vampires from all over the world come here to study. As described above, there are many different types of vampires, which is why they are studied separately. Morwa, the peaceful vampires learn magic while the Guardians who must protect Morwa learn how to fight. And now we see the man Dimitri kidnapped Rose and Vasilisa took them to the principal office. And here, the principal scolds Rose for her inability to complete her duty to protect Vasilisa. As said before, Vasilisa belongs to a royal family and she is the last member of her family. So, his protection is important. And the academy's top priority is to protect Vasilisa. When the principal beat up Rose, an old man appeared. He was a friend of Vasilisa's father. And he stops the principal to scold Rose. But she is quite angry and is about to attack Rose. And Dimitri stops him. He also says that Rose is a special guardian and that Rose and Vasilisa have a special relationship. Because of this, she could feel Vasilisa's pain. And she has pictures of Vasilisa. Actually, if she is far away from Rose, she can see her. Dimitri says that it is difficult to find a connection between the Guardians and the Morwa. It was between Rose and Vasilisa. And hearing that, the principal left Rose. And leaving the principal's office, Vasilisa notices a girl she never liked. Because she always teases her and she always does. Now Vasilisa worries about exchanging her words and enters a church. She finds a guy who looks like her because he doesn't have a family either. We note his family, who have been converted from peaceful Morwa vampires into dangerous vampires. This is why people consider him bad, that he will turn into a dangerous vampire. No one loves him for it and he feels lonely. Here, we noticed at the church that the boy and Vasilisa had a good relationship and that they became good friends. And here we see, Rose takes Vasilisa to the restaurant. The vampire's restaurant is weird like a hospital. And here people are willing to give blood and everyone is taking blood there. At the cafe, they meet another girl who is the niece of the man we observed in the principal's office. And the girl's name is Natalie. Because Natalie is an innocent girl. This is why the old man asked Rose and Vasilisa to befriend her. In the next scene, we look at all the vampires in a church. And they are listening to a priest. Meanwhile, an explosion broke out there. And everyone was scared and left. When they were leaving, they noticed that under a picture of Vasilisa's parents the words "leave or die." means go from there or die. It can be a threat to her to leave, or else she will be killed. And following this incident, the director of this academy is worried and strengthening the security of this academy. And here, the Guardians safely transported Vasilisa to another location. In the next scene, when Vasilisa and Rose are in their room, Rose has a vision that she is in trouble. And when she entered Vasilisa's room, then she found a dead fox outside her room. And look at this, she's worried. Now Rose declares to her senior, Dimitri, that she wants to learn how to fight to protect Vasilisa. And in the next scene, Rose mistakenly tells everyone that Vasilisa is taking his blood. From then on, Vasilisa raged and reprimanded her. And here both are fighting. And Vasilisa enters a church leaving Rose. And Rose tries to find her by the power of her vision. She knows that she is at church with a little boy. And this is the same boy we see at the beginning of the movie with Vasilisa in the church. We now look at Vasilisa in the academy hall, where the queen taunted her as she left the academy. And after worrying about these taunts, she entered her room. And this is the same warning that was written on the wall, written in the church. Now with Vasilisa's friend, Rose and Natalie are worried. Now Natalie tasted the blood on the wall that wasn't human or anything other than the vampire Moroi. Not of a single Moroi, but of several Moroi. Vasilisa thinks the girl she doesn't like and teases her is responsible for all this. After that, Vasilisa's reputation declined because everyone knew it. And she escaped from the academy. Now, to clear her place, she thinks she is using her magic. And she thinks she is controlling people's minds so she can remove evil things from their minds. And this seems wrong to Rose, but Vasilisa doesn't listen to Rose. When Vasilisa doesn't listen to Rose, she gets angry. And Rose walks out of the room, and outside she looks at the same guy. And it was with Vasilisa at the church. He goes to see Vasilisa. And after watching, Rose thinks that the boy is the culprit who planted strange things in her mind. And this is why she lied, said she didn't like him, and just hung out passing time with him. Then he got upset and left. Next, Rose has a vision of Vasilisa where she puts her point of view by magic into the minds of others. And meanwhile, Vasilisa goes to see Rose, and Natalie comes too. She has a laptop in her hand. Natalie says this is the laptop of the girl who always teases Vasilisa. And on his laptop, it is revealed that Vasilisa's brother cheated on him. And that's why she wants revenge on Vasilisa and her family. Now there is no one in her family, so she wants revenge on Vasilisa. Now, Rose knows that the girl teasing Vasilisa and her friends has a bandage on her arm. This means that the warnings on the wall were written by them to Vasilisa. As they watched, the girl meet the headmaster, but as Rose approached, they stopped talking. And in the next scene, we see Vasilisa begin to use magic for anything that could cause harm. And thinking, Rose reminded her teacher, who used magic. One day, she suddenly disappeared from the academy. Now Rose wants to know what happened to the professor, but it is forbidden to talk about her. Rose decided to find her files at the main office to find out what happened to the excessive use of magic, so she can protect Vasilisa. Now Rose knows from the record that using magic she switches to black magic. So strange things happen to him. Rose is really sad to hear that. And in her vision, she observes that Vasilisa has a nightmare in which her church friend attacks her. Rose observed this dream with the help of vision. And she was worried and went to this boy's house. Now Rose honestly tells him that she lied to him when he came to her house. And it's that Vasilisa doesn't like him. She tells him that she really loves him. And with it said she was in trouble to save Vasilisa. And Rose now needs help from her friend. And we notice Vasilisa, Rose, and Natalie at a party where Vasilisa uses magic excessively. And Rose gets angry and leaves. Both Natalie and Vasilisa follow her. Outside, they notice that someone has killed Vasilisa's cat. And she tries to make her cat live by magic. This time, she consumed all her power in this spell. And because of magic, she has a lot of cuts on her hands. Looking at the cuts on his hands, Rose recalled something. She reminds her teacher, who once said to use magic to get Vasilisa out of here. because in this academy other than dangerous vampires. And many others wanted to use his power. The teacher told him that they also wanted to use his powers. Because she has a lot of power, so they can't control it. Because of that, she went crazy and they sent her to the Asylum Mantle. Maybe that's also why Rose and Vasilisa ran away from this academy. And here we notice that the professor erases all memories from Rose's mind after notifying her.
Until she needs to.
Because the time has come for them to need it all. That's why Rose remembered it all. Now Rose says all this to Dimitri. And says she needs all the information about her. And she wants all the information and Dimitri gives her easily. Now Rose, with the help of the teacher's friend, gathers information about magic. And after knowing everything, she concludes that mostly, the principal wants to kill Vasilisa. And the principal, to kill her, wants to make her new royal family. And Rose walked carelessly and unexpectedly put her foot in a dug. And she fell and broke her leg. But when she regained consciousness, her leg was fine.
Then she knows this was done by Vasilisa.
Now Rose and Vasilisa have become friends again. Next, we watch Rose, Natalie, and Vasilisa at a party. During the party, Rose protects Vasilisa from the principal. Then she realizes that the warning was written by the principal and the bad girl. But the killer of the cat was someone else. When Rose is in the room, she sees an image that someone has kidnapped Vasilisa. Then she goes to Dimitri's house and tells him that Vasilisa is in trouble and we have to save her. When Dimitri and Rose were going, Rose again has a vision in the car. And here she learns that no one but Natalie's father has kidnapped her. He kidnapped her to use her magical powers to heal himself. And he does it secretly because Vasilisa might die. Perhaps after his death, he could be called the uncle of the royal family. That's why they did it all. We notice that when Rose and Dimitri came to save Vasilisa, her friends were also with her. And arriving where they held Vasilisa, Dimitri got into a fight with the guards. Then Rose and Vasilisa's friends go to save her. Here we see that Vasilisa heals the man because of the punishment. Because Vasilisa comes from the royal family, that's why she has extra strength. Because she doesn't die and dangerous diseases don't attack her. After that, Vasilisa leaves herself and runs away. When Rose and her friends arrive, they learn that Vasilisa has already run away. There the old man leaves the dangerous dogs on them and comes along with them. And he shot Vasilisa first, but the bullet hit his friend. When he shot Vasilisa again, then Dimitri took his gun. And Vasilisa saves for the second time. Now the man orders his dogs to attack them. Then Vasilisa's dying friend with her magic killed and burned all the dogs. Now they are saved, but Vasilisa's friend is dying, but Vasilisa can't let that happen. Then she uses magic to save friend's life, but saving a vampire's life takes a lot of magic.
With the excessive use of magic, Vasilisa and Rose faint.
And fortunately, Vasilisa's friend was also saved. In the next scene, the old man is imprisoned. The man is a Moroi, but he crosses all boundaries of a bad vampire. He turns his daughter into a dangerous vampire and attacks her on Vasilisa. But Rose saves her and Natalie fights Rose, hitting her. She gets her father out of jail. Then here, Dimitri steps in and kills the old man and Natalie to save Rose.
In the mid-credit, we see Vasilisa teaching the vampires to merge in the academy halls. In the final scene, we see the professor go crazy from using too much magic. She left the academy to cross the mountains to form her own army. And appears an army of vampires, and the movie ends with this scene.